Welcome to Fintech Daydreaming, the podcast that dives into the world of banking technologies and the ever-changing landscape of fintech companies. We bring you real-life examples from global and local thought leaders, as well as experts working within the financial industry, and seek out the best stories from the front lines of financial services innovation, where dreams of industry pioneers meet reality. Hosted by Pål and Ville. This is Fintech Daydreaming.
Hello and welcome to a special episode of Fintech Daydreaming. We are here recording live in Stockholm during the Stockholm Fintech Week. We are attending the event. Both of us will be on stage today. Actually, I'm going to be today and you're going to be tomorrow. But again, the whole purpose of this episode is to give you an overview of what's happening here at Stockholm Fintech Week, and perhaps give you some flavor of what actually happened here, and we're going to have some interesting interviews as well. As always, my name is Ville. I will be your host for this special episode, but of course I'm joined here, as you can see, by my friend Pål. So Pål, how do you like it being here in Stockholm?
We're always saying as usual and then who we are. Yeah. I'm wondering if we should switch that up one day. So as usual, I am Ville and with me I have Pål. That would confuse a lot of people, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Or as unusual, maybe.
As unusual, yes. Yeah. No, it's good. It's so far I'm amazed at the number of people that are here that I know. There is an awful lot of our extended, can I say, network or circle of fintech thought leaders and so forth. So
yeah, absolutely, it feels like there's a lot of familiar faces and a lot of friendly faces as well. It seems like you don't need to stand in one place and then people will just come up to you and talk to you all the time. So again, it feels like a family gathering in a way.
I had a fantastic experience this morning when we first got here. I must have been here probably about 10 minutes. And some person came up to me who I've never met before in my life. He came up to me and he went, "Pål!" Shook my hand and looked at him and I went, "Yeah." And he went, "Fintech Daydreaming!" And I ran off again. There was, fantastic. Friend for life, I say now.
Yeah, of course. I actually happen to know who that was, so that's another story. But I've had similar experiences as well. So I've had like 2 or 3 people come up to me, people I've never seen before, just coming up to me and say, "Hey, Ville, nice to see you. I love your podcast." So again, very happy to see so many fans here, even though, of course, we are a small family of listeners here, but still, they seem to be involved in the fintech space in the Nordics, so I guess no surprises there. So yeah, again, it's our purpose here today, like I was saying there in the beginning, is to first of all have this bit of an intro chat here. Then we're going to interview people. We're going to bring them in, we'll keep them hostage here in the room that we have booked for this recording, and ask them some questions about what do they see in this event and what are they up to in the Nordic fintech space. But other than that, this should be a fun couple of days here. What do you think?
I think it's going to be really good. And actually, I'm going to deviate a little bit.
Okay.
Because it's you and me here today. We're going to have a number of different people come and join us for some discussions today and tomorrow as we're recording. But we always have a joke for our episodes. And I'm actually going to share a joke because this one came to me on behalf of my girlfriend. She was very excited about having created this joke, and she really wanted me to share this joke with the fintech community.
Okay.
Right? And it really fits into that category of good but bad joke.
Okay.
So
to be clear, I was kind of waiting for some of our guests to do the joke, but again, I think this deserves its own slot here. So please.
I agree, and we could always have more than just one joke, right? But this one. So, can you guess who is my favorite and friendliest payment provider?
Oh, I can think of many, but I'm sure you have something special in mind.
It's my PayPal.
Oh, slow clap, very slow clap, and a fake laugh.
Yeah, and a fake laugh. Yes, and we need to thank my girlfriend for that one. She really pulled out all the stops with that one. So
no, I like it. Yeah. It's very much in the vein of jokes we do here, which is kind of bad and good at the same time. So
and we try to make them as bad as possible.
Much appreciated.
Yes.
All right, so we're not going to waste any more time here with this intro segment because I think we clarified what we're going to do here in the next today and tomorrow, and hopefully we will find some interesting guests to talk to.
Yes.
As we talked to many of them already there on the floor before we recorded this, so I'm sure we're going to have some interesting discussions.
Yes.
Anything you want to say before we wrap up for this segment?
Let's get on with it.
All right, let's go. And as promised, here we are with the first interview of the Stockholm Fintech Week for our podcast. So I'm here with Christie. So tell us a little bit about who are you, what are you doing, and what are you up to here at Stockholm Fintech Week?
Yeah, and thank you so much for inviting me. A little bit about me. I've been part of Fintech since the early beginning. I was Chief Marketing Officer within Open Banking at Aya, and we got acquired by MasterCard. And then shortly after that, got poached to set up a new marketing function, go-to-market, for their API platform and focusing on developers. And now I'm at Danske Bank, focusing on premium APIs as well as open banking. So just keeping on that journey. And then as a fellow fintech nerd, I also have my own little podcast and big fan of Fintech Daydreaming. Yeah. Yes. And I'm here to mingle and meet everyone in the industry and, fintech friends and also meeting new folks.
So really good to have you here. So what are you doing specifically here at Stockholm Fintech Week?
Yeah, so I was just on the stage a bit earlier today where we were talking about the future of accounting and integration into ERP system and what does that mean for banks and premium APIs. And it's something that is very close to what I'm focusing on now as a partnership manager at Danske Bank, looking at how can we as a bank be better at looking at premium APIs, what other additional data sources can we basically publish externally for our third-party providers and partners in ERP to be able to create even better fully end-to-end customer journeys for a business, rather that being expense management or understanding also how well is my business doing, and not having to flip between different interfaces if that's what you prefer not to do, and otherwise we also have the district, right? So again, figuring out what is that customer journey, how do we actually help businesses run a healthy business by utilizing the APIs, premium APIs that we have.
All right. So usually in these panel discussions, in these conferences, you never kind of conclude on anything. You just kind of do your own talking points and then you're done with it. So did you actually conclude on anything on this panel discussion?
I think that's a very good question. I think the conclusion were AI will definitely completely changed the world of accounting today. I think we concluded that premium APIs will be and is the next step for embedded finance and embedded banking. And we also talked about the importance of partnering versus building. So I would say those were some of the conclusions.
All right. Good. So thank you, Christie, for this brief moment with us on with Fintech Daydreaming, and really happy to have you here. And again, have a nice conference.
Thank you, Ville. Thank you so much. Yeah, likewise.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got another fantastic guest here with us for this little episode, and we found Chris walking around. But you were presenting here this morning as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I did a small presentation this morning around my latest theme, which is digital trust.
Yes.
How can you prove you are you? How do I know that Pål is Pål? It's very difficult these days to work out what's what.
Particularly in a digital world. And it's getting worse and worse, isn't it?
And I can fake everything.
Yes.
And deep fake everything. And so it's the challenge of allowing the innovation of technology, and particularly artificial intelligence, and the regulation of technology.
Yes. And we had you on the podcast not very long ago talking about your latest book and really focusing in on DeFi and also the use then of AI as well. So this sort of continues on from that discussion that we had on the podcast. Is it another book coming out?
Yeah, it's bubbling away.
Yeah.
I need to finish it during summer 2025, which is the next thing. In that I try and write something every 2 years. But what happens is themes evolve.
Yes.
So if you look back on the previous books, you'll find that a lot of the thinking is the same, but it's dynamically changing. And in fact, the biggest change at the moment is, for example, as I was blogging this week, banking as a service is dead.
Yes.
So I coined that term banking as a service 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I felt that you could design your own bank using cloud services. And I still think you can do that, but it's moved on to open banking and embedded finance, and then it moves into quantum and what's coming in the future. And this is the thing that I always come back to, which is the only constant is change.
Yes.
So you've got to keep up with what's changing. And if you stop changing, then you're dead.
Absolutely. But is that interesting, that specific point there? I read your blog post and saw also all the other posts that have been around on LinkedIn around banking as a service is dead and the growth of embedded finance. And Ville and I actually discussed this over breakfast this morning, and it was an interesting point that came out. Maybe to sort of see your point of view on this. Banking as a service, to a certain degree, gives you one throat to choke, right? Because you've got one financial institution which is giving you that license that you're relying on as the third party. Embedded finance, to a certain degree, takes the perspective that you might be dealing with multiple financial institutions. You pick a mix. This bank has got the best capability for me on payments, and this bank maybe has the best capabilities for me for doing something else. Don't you end up in a higher risk scenario with the fact that you're suddenly relying on multiple financial institutions to deliver your capabilities?
Well, I mean, again, there's multiple ways to look at it, which is, for the average Joe or Jane on the street, are they bothered? All they want is a financial institution and one they can trust.
Yes.
And so they don't want to think about this chain in supply that we now have digitally. On the other hand, there are some of us who, particularly those into crypto, for example, who really get heavily into technology and digitality. And so for those who are in that space, they probably want to do and innovate and create their space in their own space. So you have a spectrum.
Yeah.
And I would say probably about 80% of people are simple. Not saying that they're dumb. Simple as in they just want the service and they don't want to think about it. And if you as an institution deliver a service that doesn't come up to scratch, you as an institution are liable for any failure, which we've seen quite a lot recently with large banks failing because they have outages, for example, with technology. So for most people, I think that's the way they behave.
Yes.
But 1 in 5 or thereabouts are starting to go, actually, I'm happy to control my money with multiple providers. I don't want one throat to choke. I'm very happy to deal with, Klarna and Revolut and Coinbase and others to provide my service for my finance, because then I'm in control. And if one of those fails, then it's my fault. And that's the bit they don't understand.
No, that's very true. Yes. And then the minute something goes wrong, they do want to have a throat to choke.
Well, I always come back to, and I didn't get to this stage of my presentation this morning because I ran out of time. But Bill Gates said in the 1990s, we need banking, but we don't need banks. And I completely disagree. And the reason I disagree is that the reason why banks exist is because they're regulated and licensed. And if they fail, you've got someone to point to and say, give me my money back.
Yeah.
And when it comes to money, I want to have someone I can point to and say, give me my money back.
Yes.
When you see huge failures like FTX in the crypto markets and others, then it's a huge challenge to get the money back. I'm actually smiling today because I finally got my money back from Mt. Gox.
Right.
Some of my money. 11 years after they failed. It's taken 11 years.
Oh.
And that challenge, and I'm just lucky that it's with a Japanese institution,
Yes.
is one that I think everybody faces, which is if you put your money into assets that are not regulated or backed by any authority, then you have to accept you're just gambling.
Yes. Yeah. Now, we're here in Stockholm at the Stockholm Fintech Week. What have you thought of the event?
No, it's been good. I mean, I've really enjoyed the presentations. There's a nice little exhibit hall behind us.
Yeah.
And I noticed MasterCard and Visa with some booths. So, they're obviously very heavily invested in this space.
Yes.
It's quite interesting when you look at fintech because it's been through quite a turbulent few years.
It has.
Deals and investments cycles have gone down, and some would say that it's the boom bust of fintech. I would say actually it's just the point where we're reaching a reflection and a recognition that fintech is not what everyone thought it was. The strong companies are just as strong as they were. In fact, some are stronger. Klarna is about to make a major IPO in the New York markets, I saw, valued at $15 billion.
Yes.
And coming from Nordics, you'll know that's a company that we all admire in many ways. And I think the challenge is for the newer, more sort of embryonic fintechs, how to get funding. And that's been the big challenge the last couple of years. And it's nice to see an event like this because I think that's where people can come along and hopefully find investors.
Absolutely. And it's starting to become a little bit more rationalized, right? It's not so much easy money going to silly business ideas. So I think it's good.
Yeah, and I always quote N26, who, this actually is a quote from about 4 or 5 years ago, where their chief operations guy said, profit's not one of our metrics. And I'm going, that's a stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
Profit is one of the key metrics.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't get investment.
No, absolutely. No business survives without profit. So
you have to have that in, going forward.
Yes, absolutely. But thank you very much, Chris, for joining us and seeing you again.
Thank
and maybe we'll get you back on the podcast again soon.
Thanks, Bob.
Fantastic.
Good to see you.
Found another fantastic person walking around the corridors here, but you're responsible for all of this, right, Chris?
Partly, yes. So I'm to blame for quite a lot of what's happening here today. We're a team of 6. We partnered with Stockholm Fintech Week, and we formed a fantastic alliance to bring the best fintech event in the Nordics to Stockholm.
And for our listeners, do you want to introduce yourself?
Of course, my name is Chris Crespo. I'm head of program here at Stockholm Fintech Week, and I'm also head of content at Nordic Fintech Magazine.
Which is the best magazine for fintech in the Nordic, or should we say the world?
The Nordics.
In the Nordics.
Let's be modest, like the Nordic.
Especially the one that came out end of last year, because you featured one of my articles.
Samling was there, indeed. Yes. Thank you very much for your contribution. It's great. We love reaching out to thought leaders and to the Nordic community to share their insights, and that's basically why we build the platform.
Yeah.
We realize that if you're a fintech, you don't get a lot of attention from the mainstream media until you reach a certain threshold. And having worked at one of the big banks in the Nordics, I realized but there's so many fintechs and entrepreneurs that are disrupting the market, that they're the ones coming with the innovation and the ideas. We need to provide a platform for them to actually share what they're doing, thought leadership, innovation, connect, and hence that's where the magazine comes in.
Which is also the ethos of what's going on here today and tomorrow. Indeed. So, starting with today, I mean, what has been your highlight so far of everything?
It's difficult for me to say because I put the program together.
Yes.
But I was particularly excited of a number of things. First of all, that we have speakers from 47 different countries.
Yeah.
And that's something we set out to do from the very beginning, because we thought, okay, we all know each other in the Nordics, right? It's a tight-knit community, but we thought we need to start bringing people from outside that can tell us what's happening in other regions, and that can give us a perspective of what the Nordics look like from where they're coming from. So we have speakers coming from all parts of Europe, from as far as the Middle East, Brazil. So I'm super excited that we can bring that diversity of opinion and perspectives in the fintech world. So that's one of my highlights. I think it was great that we were able to get Chris Skinner to come and do the opening keynote. Also, we had Cecilia Schellhoy, who you might know from the Tinder Swindler.
Yes.
And she was here to share part of her story and what she's doing now to combat romance scams. So overall, I think it's the agenda and the program. It's something we're very, very proud of.
Oh, you've got a fantastic lineup of speakers. You've done a fantastically good job. I mean, you've even got Ville and myself on the lineup. You've given me a keynote spot as well. I mean, yes.
We're very grateful that you're here.
Yeah, so fantastic. I mean, obviously we are the limelight of the show here, but no, fantastic lineup. We spoke to Chris a minute ago. Fantastic guy. But, you know, everybody always wants to hear the nitty-gritty stuff. So have you had any shocks, any, you know, absolute nightmares so far? Normally they happen, you know, you turn up and something's missing, or someone hasn't turned up, or something like that. Can you share anything about the stress you've had over the last couple of days?
Well, you see, building an event of this size with 130 speakers, with over 1,000 participants, with partners coming from all over the place, 3,500 minutes of fintech content, there's always things that can and will go wrong.
Yes.
So I'd say that we're firefighters, because basically that's what you end up doing, like a month before the event. You're just putting out fires.
Yes.
Nothing really major, you know. It's like something like, oh, the website's not working, or the program is not loading. I think probably the worst thing that you can have is when you double book spaces on stage, and then you have to very apologetically say to someone, "I'm sorry, we double booked you, and we don't have any more space to fit you in." That's probably as uncomfortable as it's got. Thankfully, we haven't had any major incidents today. Just a couple of speakers that missed their flights and couldn't make it.
Right.
But other than that, I think we have a fantastic team that is able to respond on the spot. And while these mishaps do happen, they don't stop the show, right?
Everything always has its challenges.
It does. It does. And that's part of the fun, I think.
Yeah, and you've done a fantastically good job here.
Thank you. That's
and your team.
That's very kind. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right. Well, Paul, great seeing you. And thank you for being here. Really, thank you for being here as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
And we're here back at the studio, and I was able to kidnap another guest for us here at the corridors of the Stockholm Fintech Week, and we have Sofi from Centiglobe here. So how are you this morning?
I am wonderful this morning. I just did this startup pitch for Centiglobe.
Yeah.
I was a little bit nervous, of course.
Of course.
And I ran out of time a little bit at the end.
As always, yes.
It turned out well, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So they have this startup stage here now at Stockholm Fintech Week. So during the morning, it will be this startup companies, new companies, basically giving short pitches on the stage, and you got the chance to be one of the first ones this morning. Okay, good.
Yes.
So what is Centiglobe doing, and what did you say on stage?
So Centiglobe is a Swedish fintech providing alternative cross-border rails, if we make it simple. So you could say like for banks and payment providers, we're like a global Swish, since we're in Sweden now and everyone knows what Swish is. And we do this through, so our aim is to replace the current, or do big an alternative to the current infrastructures, which have a lot of intermediaries and cost inefficiencies, and hindering a bit of business opportunities. So what we want to do with new technology and a really unique governance setup is to enable banks and payment providers across the world to collaborate with each other in trusted peer-to-peer relationships.
Fantastic. So I heard a lot of similar terms that I've been hearing all about from the providers of stablecoin providers and crypto companies, but you are not a stablecoin company, you're not a crypto company, is that right?
Correct, you got it all right. So what we do, I think we could say we're a little bit a mix in between the traditional world and the new world. So we use blockchain as the core of our of the solution, and tokenized deposits. And what is that? So I think that's the difference. So our members, you become member on our network, they place a collateral in a globally systemic important bank, long name, that you then make an electronic representation of. So that's like a collateral, and you use that to move the value globally on our network.
Interesting, yeah. A huge market for sure. I'm sure also a difficult market to tackle.
Yes.
On that point, how has this event been for you? How's Stockholm Fintech Week been for you? Have you been able to achieve what you wanted to achieve being here?
Yeah. Yes, it has actually been very good and very exciting first day. And there's a lot of people here, I think interesting people from the Nordics, but also some international companies. It's a really good way to get a bit up to speed with your colleagues in the business and old friends, so to speak. So it has been really good.
Yeah.
And we also had the opportunity to have our CEO, Petter, on a panel yesterday. So that was a good thing.
Fantastic. So thank you, Sofi, for being with us this morning, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the event.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Cheers.
We continue our little journey here around the corridors of Stockholm Fintech Week, bumped into another thought leader and special guest. So Baard, you're from VippsMobilePay. Lots of interesting stuff happening there at the moment.
Yeah, we are, after merging with MobilePay in 2022, we spent 2023 building a common Nordic platform, and in 2024 we've been releasing products and services, cross-border payments in a tempo that's unprecedented in our house.
World domination next?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah?
Yes.
But actually, seriously, are you looking to expand outside of the Nordics?
Yes. But we need to sort of consult. We have some work to do still in the Nordics. Our products and services in the different markets we operate in is a little bit different due to sort of local technical differences. So we need to figure that one out and then build a stable platform that can scale further. What we know is that payments and payment infrastructure, even though it looks the same around the world, it's very, very different on regional and local scale. So our platform needs to be able to absorb that. But yes, we're looking to both scale further where the markets are available for us to scale into. If there are mature solutions, then we're looking at interoperability. So we're also looking to partner with existing systems that exist so that we can create a unified, if you will, world global domination for payments where we don't have to be the actual system in a market, but we're actually talking to and delivering funds across borders to other wallets.
Yeah, so I suppose a dream scenario is to be able to have interoperability across wallets to a point where, you know, me in Finland could use MobilePay to pay someone in Germany who's using some other infrastructure.
Exactly.
And be able to get that all to work.
Exactly.
That would be...
Because it's a dream scenario I mean, Apple and the big tech giants, you know, they can take market shares of, I don't know, 1/3 of a market and be happy. Our regional local solutions, we can't survive on 1/3 of the market. We need 2/3, 3/3, or 3/3, so complete market access in order to be successful. So, and other regional, other local systems, whether it's in south of Europe or in other countries, then we can't really compete. So then it's better to look at how we can sort of cooperate and create an interoperable payment solution that means that any Spanish can send money to a Finn, or a Finn to a German, or a German to a Norwegian. So leveraging what's already there. So that's also a scaling play.
The future is very much now built around ecosystems and platforms and frenemies and collaboration and everything else. It's no longer world domination. So.
No, I mean, world reach, I think, is better
world
to say.
Reach, yes.
And then who dominates it is not, that's not so interesting, really.
No, there's always space for all of us.
Yeah.
But we're here at Stockholm Fintech Week. Have you enjoyed the event?
Yeah. It's a combination of good content and good talks and meetings and networking. So, it's interesting. Today I have a full day of meetings, so I'm just going to talk to different companies, and we're always looking to find new partners that we can collaborate with or create value with. So that's exciting.
Have you had any presentations here?
I was on stage yesterday talking about cross-border payments and our launch of that in 2024, and also my colleague was talking about taking on the tech giants yesterday. So with our tap to pay solution that we've launched. We're fully been invited to and been able to share.
Fantastic, wonderful. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of the event, and it's been good talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we are here at the end, or almost end, of Stockholm Fintech Week, and we're going to do a bit of a wrap-up based on all the conversations we've been having here in our own little studio, but also what happened there on stages and outside the stage and between the stages. and even during the networking events that we attended last night. But so again, for me, it's been a very interesting conference. Again, we said in the beginning, it's like a meeting family again, because the Nordic fintech scene is a bit, let's say, tight, and everybody knows each other to a certain extent. But also some new new friends that we met here during these couple of days. But Paul, I mean, how's it been for you? We've both been on stage. We both enjoyed the networking. But what was the highlight for you?
I think a couple of things. One, like we said actually yesterday as well, there's a lot of people here I know. So it's fantastic to meet the old network. It makes you realize how long we've been in the industry. It makes you realize how many people we've got to meet through doing the podcast. A lot of our past guests are here, and we've been able to talk to them. Lots of new people. Like I said yesterday, it was fantastic to have someone come up to me and go, "Hey, Paul, Fintech Daydreaming, run off again." Had that repeatedly, not quite in the same energetic form, but I had quite a few people that came up and I had no idea who they were, but they seemed to know us almost intimately, which was fantastic. My presentation, a bit of tongue-in-cheek on how to do progressive modernization based upon kitchen renovation. Some people like that one. It's a little bit of a laugh, a little light-hearted and good, but a lot of hidden key messages in there. Your panel discussion, fantastic. It's not often I get to see you getting to a point of frustration where you almost want to explode. And I've got some beautiful pictures of you biting your tongue as you hear an awful lot of garbage being spewed out by people who obviously don't quite know what they're talking about. But it's been good. It's been fantastically good. So I'm looking forward to the next one.
So I think you recalled my panel very accurately.
Yes.
So what happened in the panel is that there was basically I was the only kind of quote unquote traditional banking representative on that stage on that panel, and there was a lot of garbage being said, and I had almost zero opportunity to refute any of that without trying to avoid being absolutely impolite, rude banker type of thing. But again, I talked to you before the panel, and I said that they're going to do exactly what the U.S. administration is doing now. So what their tactics is to flood the zone. So basically, you fill the stage with so much inaccurate statements that you will have absolutely no chance to refute all of them. So again, I ended up in a bit of that situation. I hope it came out that I wasn't being too rude or arrogant, but other than that, I kind of enjoyed it.
I think it was actually even more fundamental was the fact that the subject of the debate was stable coins versus central bank digital currencies, but it got hijacked. By certain individuals that really took the subject of the discussion really off stage and focused very much on crypto and a whole load of justification cases for crypto and crypto exchanges and networks. And it was like, where are you going with this?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
my opening statement said that this is about stable coins and central bank digital currencies, and explicitly said that this is not about crypto. And of course, they went straight to crypto right after that. So anyway, there were some frustrating moments, I would say, and you can probably see from my face if you ever see those pictures.
I'll post them. I'll post them. You'll find them on our Fintech Daydreaming Instagram pages. You'll find the picture. Ville biting his tongue in a very professional manner.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, but this is why we do these events. You get to hear different perspective, as wrong as that might be. But again, you hear different perspective, very big personalities on stage, and sometimes the discussion goes as it went within the panel discussion. Again, I enjoy your presentation. I love the way you're kind of framing it in this kitchen renovation setup for core banking renewal, which is a fun way of telling the story, and makes it also very relatable and understandable. So I hope as many as you in the audience as well, and the listeners space as well, have the chance to see his presentation on this topic. He's been doing it at least 2 times now, so let's see how many times we get out of that same material.
I don't know how often you can run a keynote before it gets old and tired. So.
Yeah, so I think when I spoke in one of your events, I said that this is the 5th time I'm using the same material. material, but I think that's it. So
Yeah.
you need to kind of build up new material after 5 times.
I need a new renovation project, is what you're saying.
Yes, indeed. Maybe something about your car or something.
Yeah. Well, no. I've got a new car now. I don't want to renovate that car.
Okay, fair enough.
No. We'll stay away from that.
All right, but good. So any last words from this fantastic couple of days before we wrap up here at Stockholm Fintech Week?
It's been fantastic. It's been good. I am tired. I'm worn out, which is normally the case. You talk to so many people. You have so many discussions. It's difficult to keep track of them all. You want to follow up on everything afterwards. But I love it. I mean, I'm a social animal. I love the social interaction. I'm a little bit of an introvert sometimes, so you do get tired from it, but I wouldn't change it for the world. So it's been good. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah. Same with me. Yeah. So I'm not going to use any more words than say exactly the same thoughts as I did. So thank you, Paul, of course, my co-host, and thank you, listeners and audience, for hanging out with us for this recap of Stockholm Fintech Week. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We certainly did. And we will see you next time. But before that, we of course have to give the credits. First of all, this has been Fintech Daydreaming with Pål and Ville, and we are produced, edited by Femi, who does all the fantastic work for the things that you're seeing and hearing right now with this episode of this podcast. And as always, remember to subscribe, like, leave a comment, leave a review. 5 stars, please. If it's not 5 stars, just send us an email. It's easier if you just make it 5 stars. You know the way it works. That really helps with the algorithms, and by the way, also helps us with the rankings in global fintech podcast rankings. So as we noticed earlier this year. So with that being said, we will say goodbye from here from Stockholm, and this has been Fintech Daydreaming.
This is Fintech Daydreaming.